Hi guys, gonna do the thistle today, but I thought just as an extra bonus for you, that's what a small leek, that's obviously, just sprouting, that's sort of what the plant actually looks like. So you can imagine that these leaves drooping over is what's being portrayed. There's the thistle. I can't get a better picture than that. So there's your leaves sparking off. There's the head. The flower then comes out from the head. It's a pity I can't get a better picture than that, but that's what it is. There's your shamrock. Of course, that looks oh, I can't think of the words. You've got to remember that the design, this vein, has been lifted up as such. So it's a bit hard really to define. But I just wanted you to see these plants so that you know, because you might not be aware of them. And there's your rose. That's the inner circle that I was talking about. These are the I can't think of what they're called, that produce the pollen. I don't know what their technical term is, their real term. So this is it. That's what you've just seen. That's what would be the flowering head. That's sort of like I don't know what you would call them. I really don't know. You'd have to dissect the plant to do that, I suppose, or you'd be a botanist anyway. But it gives you some idea of what these look like. Although these do bend, so that is a good representation of what the shamrock is. Anyway, so further ado, just there's another few looks at your thistle. And here we go. The thistle was denoted by the crisscross head, same as you got it in the body. And one would assume that was just these, whatever these are called, are supports for the flowering head. And you can take into consideration that's what the centre with those pollinating parts. That's what usually that's all dots. There is a coin that actually shows that in a better way, but I can't think which one I found. But that is what we're looking for, is this crisscross head and these three. 1, 2, 3. There's 4 on this one, so maybe they're only including that one in their description. But that is one, as far as I remember. But you've got. If we want to be pedantic, I would rather go that way than this way, because this is the part that moves. So that's the first one. Oops. I must remember to do that. That's a pretty poor example. But what we've got to remember even knowing that is a criteria of a fake coin. This is 19. These coins are 19 years old. It's been in service 19 years. That's a lot of time to get a lot of wear. So it's a bit unfair. But I would have assumed that the Royal Mint got rid of what they considered to be fake. And this has been scored and bashed about. So it's absolutely double. You wouldn't do that for identification at all anyway. If you was examining this, you would go straight from that to weighing the coin, taking into account any sort of damage where metal may have been knocked out of it, or where someone's done something to the coin. I really shouldn't be talking about this, but it is part of it. It's part of all the coins, to be honest. But this is a good identification of what you're looking for in smaller coins like the 5p. These are blobs of metal, obviously done in the strike. But this is an indication. When this is here, runs along here, the leak will droop down, and that's why you see the leaves sometimes non-existent. So you try and keep that in your mind. Right, so we can back out of that one. Also, the numbers, the dates, some coins like these have been obliterated through wear. This whole coin is pretty poor. Oh, there's maybe one there or two there that you could probably read. But how close the wording is another example as to what may be wrong with the coin. That, I don't know what that is. Some sort of peppering of the coin. I've actually got two of those, I believe. Yeah, so the vein, the main run of the vein is curved. So that's what you're looking at. And if you look at that shamrock, you'll see that it's not so, that this is not a good representation of the shamrock, or it's a strike issue. I think with the rose, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for this leaf to be prominent. The bulbous flower tips, it is something, but I don't think it's finely done. There's nothing fine about it, so it could be big and it could be smaller. This, you'd have to look at a proof coin. You'd have to go back to the front of the pictures that showed a proof version of the coin. Again, you can now see dates. See, the leaf is prominent. These have gone funny. It's quite. See, now you've got, with this, you have to include that one. 1, 2, 3. Simply because the way the coin, this alteration in the strike. See how proud that is now? And just look at that briefly. You have to include, this is the one that shows the smaller of there is 3 if you include that, but if you're only doing 3 that you can see, you'd have to, one of them doesn't show, and one would assume if you're not including that, it'd have to be this one. This one doesn't show like this, but a little bit of it does, so I'm assuming that's only 2 though, isn't it? That's the 3rd. So no, I think this definitely must be the 1st. So you would have to take that into consideration. See, taken away, you can't even see the first one. But this has got all doubling around it. So let's have a go down to here. Oh yes, yeah. Oh look at these blobs of metal running everywhere. Really common part of the process of striking. Let's see, yeah, and that leaf is not in any way represented properly, nor is that. In actual fact, it's blending into the rose. But there you go, look, there it is. It's hardly distinguishable, the leaf. And then again, there's not even one really visible. You can see the head, the bit of the U as it curves round, but as regards seeing the lines, no. And look at this. Yeah, you've got a fairly good leaf. 13, another bad contender. 1, 2, you can see 2. That 3rd one you can't really see, and the leaf you can't really see. So these are what you would be looking for. And look at all these runs of metal again. This is common on the 5p around the lion's leg. Really is common. Keep an eye out on the £1, because that does shift in and out with this trunk of the or the branch, I should say, the trunk of the branch, which all 4 plant stems from. So your variations can be all different if you do it singularly or if you do it as a multiple. And then I don't know what you would do in respect of proof coins and BU coins, because I've sort of come to accept now. I was really anti the BU grade, because there should not be any BU proof coins. But if they're using the duds for the mint sets and then the BUs from that, So you've got three grades basically. You've got your proof, your mint, and your BU. So someone could interpret that their proof coin is a BU with an error or misstrike, but actually it's not. It's actually a mint coin, because I'm pretty sure the Royal Mint wouldn't let a coin, or whether it's done by computer, whether the computer would allow that to go through as a proof coin. Whether what I've seen on the internet is people shifting coins around, opening up their sets, blah blah blah. It's easiest to do now they're in capsules, so you don't have to open the whole set. Pretty poor. Look at this. And that. Yeah. Number 9. We're down to already. Cool, that's not bad. Great score through that. See, oh, look at that. It's abysmal. It's that bad. It's exposed the reeds. I don't believe that that's through wear. I believe that's a misstrike. I mean, look at it. The whole coin is a flipping disgrace. That should have been thrown out. These coins that really are this bad, they are disgraceful. I'm leaving this up to you to define. I can only tell you what I can see as well. But I do believe, I can't be sure, that they exclude this one line. They're talking about these 3, 1, 2 and 3, and in which case it's even worse. Again, the leaf is completely just fading away. I mean, if you keep comparing these against each other as I'm going down, there's a diabolical one that there's hardly any crisscrossing there at all. And even this is so vague. This is so over exaggerated. Again, more metal. I hope this isn't jumping forwards and backwards. I'm not taking note of the numbers at the top, because that one is particularly bad. Even here it's particularly bad. And again, you've got more of this. I've never noticed this before, to be honest. All these ones are metal. I really haven't. But as someone said, that, there's so many millions of these things in circulation. The world's your oyster. And as a collector, especially of anything of errors or misstrikes or whatever you want to call it, you want the best. You still want the best to look at. You don't want all this round the edge, no dates. You still want the best, which is basically what I used to do with my coins of the day, my change of the day. I would take the best from those. Oh, look at this, look. But that's what we're looking for, this crosshead. And see how different this is now. These have moved away from where they should be, because you can only see one. Well, again, if you want to call that one, you can only see two. But this is because the coin has shifted away. It's not to do with it being a fake. And this is what's hard. That is exactly what's hard. Because the Royal Mint chuck out these coins in such a manner, you know, you're talking about millions and millions of coins. Hundreds of millions of coins, if not thousands. No, it's hundreds, isn't it? 1,000 would be a billion, if I remember rightly. Let's go and have a look down the bottom. No, that's about right. And of course, there's no runs of metal now. The leaf is up. And that's not a bad leak either. Number 4, getting down to the last bit. Again, look, this is completely moved away and there's only now 2 showing. The third is missing. Yeah, and so is that. Again, the only thing I would do, if you wanted to make sure that it wasn't a fake, is go to the weight. That's the most important thing of these coins, is the weight. I believe this is why they say that the fakes were as good as what we produced. And how can you argue against that statement when you've got this stuff in circulation? So the fakes can be just as good because they're crap. You know, it's crazy. So the only way you could define it to be a fake with a proof coin, that may be different. It should be easier, because your proof coin should be defined right through the spectrum of the striking process. They should all be proper, so to speak. Not like the way I speak. I don't speak proper. So there's another one. Look, the crisscross, it has faded, but it is there. And again, depending which ones of these you count, but they're even faded out here. So the leaf's there. But these, and I can't remember what coin it is, actually depict the dots in the rows. I can't think what coin it is offhand. Oh, it must be cold outside. So we go to the last one, number 1, which is quite apt, really. Look at all this. And what I would say to you is, if you got that in a set of coins that you're paying, even if it's a mint set, or even if it's a BU set, well, no, you can't. No, I won't include the BU, because that's wrong. Because the BU is a defunct coin. They're only selling those is because they're nice. And that brings me on to a nice little thing that I've come to mind with, is how if they separate these coins that are so-called BU, does that affect the total of coins produced? And what I'll do, I will do a separate video going through all the different not percentage, all the mintage, all the mintage figures. And you would surely think that if you was making a run, that it would be a sort of like a round figure, you know, like 1500 or 1550 or, you know, like that. And I'm going to do a video. I'll use the coin database rather than no, I will use the Royal Mint database because theirs should be accurate. Yeah, that's what I should do. I will do a separate video just doing that. The other thing with the round coins that the 12-sided coins don't have is the, and you're not going to be able to see it, is the cross. It seems to be only the round ones because they had an inscription, whereas these, the 12-sided ones, don't have an inscription. They just have reeded, blank, reeded, blank. So you've got 6 of 6. You've got 6 reeded, 6 blanks. So there's no inscription around the edge. So, but with the round ones, as someone pointed out, it would make sense that these were heavily faked as well. And that's probably why they include the cross, because I've noted on this coin that I've got in my hand that the cross is diabolical. Well, with the £2 coins, all of them have the cross, and that's the main criteria. One of the main criteria of a fake coin is the cross, because the cross is hard to replicate. This is what the whole premise of this finery, why they included the thistle, I believe, is because of the finery of the crisscrossing. Because it should be there. When you think about it, that crisscrossing should all be there. It shouldn't be like this. But these coins are just the rubbish that we get. So we can't really take these coins into consideration. These are all just poor misstrikes. If we were somehow to define a fake coin to a reasonably good coin, that might be something worth being interested in. I mean, I'm doing this with my cursor. Look at the bottom of that to the bottom of these. Can you read those dates? And this is blown up, don't forget. Can you read those dates? I don't know what that pink is. So there you go, guys. I'm going to leave it. Oh, the other thing is the £1. How close that is to the edge denotes from this. Whereas on the obverse side, on the head side, the Queen's trunk of her neck and the I know I've done this before, but I will go through it again because we're actually on the wording. This is the part that goes in and out from the edge to the outer, and this is the same with Elizabeth and some of this. Oh, and I have to apologise. JC is a man. Jodie is a man. I thought Jodie was a female name. So that's another error I've made. It was pointed out to me, which I thank him for. Yeah. So that's the only reason I'm bringing this up. But the criteria is that. And there's three things, is the size of that and where it's positioned, because sometimes you actually see lines displaying outwards away from the main unit, and when you do see that, you also see lines appearing in the lettering. Sometimes it's really quite bold. It's really quite yuck is the word I will use. And now the coins like these, they're 19, 18 years old. This how they do that, I don't know, but the way that they construct that is getting worn, as we've seen from the other side, the reverse side. So that is not really helpful anymore. But it would have been at the time of describing a fake, because they would have been new. These coins would have started showing up, and they would be thinking, "Well, hang on a minute, this isn't right." Someone must have clicked. Probably someone like me who studies looking for errors, and I count misstrikes as errors. But yeah, there's lots of things I could point out to you that makes me think of errors. Seeing the blown up coin shows you the dates. Okay, shows you the dates in there, and that was proved by an eBay post. Someone selling a proof eBay post, and the card that was inserted with it that actually shows the components of these coins being put together. It's fascinating. It really is fascinating. You can't get the real detail of wording on this card, but I would love to get my hands on it. And he was charging £1 for them, and I thought, well, that's a bit naughty. But if it's what I really believe it is, they were showing the components. It makes the criteria sensible, because you can see what they were looking for. They didn't have to do it with the round coins because it didn't have the inner coin. So you was just looking at one strike, whereas these, the blanks have to be put in first, I would assume. And that's what you really want to know, is how the coin is actually produced. There is a video online on YouTube. I've got a funny feeling it's the American one of production, and they deal with bimetallic coins, if I remember rightly. I might be wrong, but I'm sure it was that they deal with bimetallic coins. It might even be the EU, actually, thinking about it. because I've seen, it must be three. One's Japan, one's America, and the other one might be the EU. I've not seen any more than that. And it is fascinating. It truly is fascinating. And you can understand where these mistakes come from, these errors, how they happen. But anyway, we're coming to the end of this, so I'm going to love you and leave you, and I will do a video on Raw Mint's mintage figures. Okay, thanks for looking at this, and thanks for putting up with my spiel. Bye now.